Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. This is the case of the people of the state of Colorado versus James Egan Holmes, case number 12CR 1522. The record should reflect that Mr. Holmes is present with his attorneys, Ms. Brady, Mr. King, Ms. Nelson, Ms. Higgs, and Ms. Spengler, and the people are represented by Mr. Orman, Ms. Pearson, and Ms. Titch McGuire. At about 9:55, the jury sent out a note that I have marked as question number 1 during jury deliberations in phase 2 of the sentencing hearing. It reads as follows: the jury has reached a verdict on all counts. And then just a few minutes after that, they sent out another note that I have marked as question number 2 during jury deliberations in phase 2 of the sentencing hearing, and it reads as follows: we made an error on verdict forms for count 1 and count 2. We request replacement copies of these. Would you please give them copies of the questions? I have 2 proposals. One of them reads as follows: dear members of the jury, this is in response to your request for replacement copies of the verdict forms for counts 1 and 2. You indicated in your note that you made an error on the verdict forms for these counts. Rather than submit replacement copies of these verdict forms, the court asks that you correct any error or errors by hand and have the foreperson place his initials next to each correction. The other proposal reads as follows: dear members of the jury, this is in response to your request for replacement copies of the verdict forms for counts 1 and 2. You indicated in your note that you made an error on the verdict forms for these counts. Your request is granted. However, the court asks that you keep the original verdict forms for counts 1 and 2. Further, the court asks that the foreperson put a large X through each page of each form with the foreperson signature in the top right-hand corner of each page. Would you please distribute copies of the proposals to the parties? Mr. Orman, do the people have a preference between the 2 proposals, or do they have a different proposal?
I think our proposal is, or our preference is, to give them a new verdict form and then ask them to do what you say in here, but also maybe to staple it to the corrected verdict form so that it's all together.
Okay. Ms. Brady, do you have a preference?
We like the second suggestion where you give them a clean verdict form and have them put an X through the ones that are mistaken.
Okay, and do you have a response to the people's request to have the jury staple the the replacement verdict forms to the original verdict forms?
I would almost prefer that they be kept separate but maybe stapled to each other so that we know for sure that those are the 2 that, I assume the X will tell us that too, but right. I would prefer to have them separate from the actual verdict forms.
I think the X will tell us that. I will look at them when they are in the courtroom, and I can staple them later. I'm not too concerned about that, and I don't think we need to have the jury staple the original verdict forms with the replacement verdict forms. I have mixed feelings about that, Mr. Orman. Part of me thinks it's a good idea, and part of me thinks it's not a good idea. So I think as long as it's clear that they are the or original forms and that they are void because the foreperson puts an X through them, a large X through them with his signature in the top right-hand corner, I'm satisfied that that takes care of it.
It was just an idea, Your Honor. Obviously, I don't feel real strong about it.
Okay, all right, I'll send back the second proposal, and then we'll proceed. Let's plan on me announcing the verdicts at 12:30. Is that okay? All right, 12:30 it is. All right, the court will be in recess. Thanks, everyone.